Y'all, what did I get myself into? I'm going to be doing a Calico color correction, and I haven't even done chunky foils ever. This is my first time doing that, and you're going to see how it went. Yeah, we all know that I do platinum blondes all the time, but I've been dying to do a Calico color correction. And this babe here has come to me today and she's like, no one in this area will do my hair. No one will do the Calico color on me, and I really, really want it. And I think it has something to do with the fact that she does have previously colored hair, all copper. So we're gonna have that to kind of work through for the lightening and the blonde bits, but basically, this is my first time ever doing a chunky foil, and it's also my first time ever doing a Calico color placement. So today's placement is super complex, and I'm going to take you through the whole thing. I've sped up the video super fast so that this is a faster video, but you get an idea of how I've done placement, because we really went in on our placement, and that's my favorite thing about this entire look so far. It does have its flaws. We are going to go over my wishes, as there are many, but the placement itself is perfection. So that is her test strand that you're seeing right there. It lifted beautifully. So we do know that her hair can lift safely and in a beautiful way. So here we have our three bowls of color. We have our brown, our red, and our blonde, and that's what I'm going to be calling them today. And I'm going to go over my formulas a little bit later, but let's start with our placement from the base of the neck area. What we're doing here on the nape is, this is the brown. So every time you see this foil pattern, this is going to be the brown foils for this terracotta foil pattern from Framar. And anytime you see the latte foils, that will be our red formula. And anytime you see a standard Framar foil that's just silver, that's going to be our blonde formula, which is just bleach. My first two slices are about 1/4 of an inch thick to make 1/2 inch thick slices, maybe a little bit thicker underneath here. I think I went in a little bit thicker. First, a little bit more boldness. I've done a chunk of the brown, a chunk of the blonde, and I've pulled out the test strand because that was half of our chunk anyways. Then I've gone onto the other side and I started with the blonde next to the ear, and I'm doing the brown after that. So there's going to be a bit of a checkerboard pattern and a calico cat pattern here that you guys are going to need to pay attention to if you want to do the same pattern that I did. If not, it's totally fine. Calico is about randomness anyways, but this is planned randomness. And then what I decided to do is this big triangle section in the very back center of her hair, that's going to be red, because we did want the majority of the hair to have a red tone to it rather than to be like majority black with blonde or majority blonde with black. Well, I'd say black, but it's brown. A lot of calico colors do really high contrast, where they have like a black color, a blonde color, and an orange color. But we wanted this to be a little softer. We wanted to work with a copper in kind of like a level 6.5, and a darker red color in like a level 4.5, and then a blonde in a level 8. And we felt like that blonde being a soft neutral blonde would pair well. So what you're seeing here is me separate my big triangle section into 3 or 4 sections on their own, where I'm refreshing the red through the ends with the same formula that she uses at home, and I'm applying it to her roots as well. This whole massive chunk is just going to be one solid block of red. And yes, she does her hair at home as well. She touches up her roots every month. She won't be doing that anymore with this kind of color patterning. I'll be touching up her roots, but she is a stylist and she uses Joico. I'm going to put down the formula here for you for the copper red color that she uses, because I think it's absolutely stunning. It does end up being a little bit deeper at first and then fades out to more of this kind of lighter, richer copper. And she says that she does have to refresh it with a color depositing mask at home. So, I mean, this is Joico. I haven't really used much of Joico before, so I'm just kind of following her lead because we do like the color she started with and we wanted to keep that in our formulation. Now we're going to go on to the sides, and what I'm doing is I'm doing slight diagonal pieces, and I'm starting with the front. And on this side, the right side of her head, we are doing it differently than the left side of her head. We are starting with 2 1/4 inch, maybe even thinner, thick sections that are going to be the blonde. And then we are going to do 1/4 inch section of the brown color. And I like to split my foils into two so that I have better saturation. Newsflash, I still didn't have the best saturation in the world, so take note of that. Maybe splitting every section into 3 would be a good idea. This is how you do typically chunky foils, by the way, is you take a section, you're like, this is how big I want it to be, and then you split it up into workable sizes that you know you're going to get really good saturation with. But I didn't get the best saturation with a couple of pieces. And that's just a live and learn thing. I will be reapplying as we are going to be doing some adjustments to her hair on Tuesday evening. So I will have updated photos for you guys that I can post on the YouTube channel as well. But today you're going to see the overall placement and the overall look, even though there is a issue with our formulation today. I'm going to tell you what that issue is right now because you can see how I'm foiling. I've already discussed what my foil code is. So again, every time you're seeing the silver foils, that's my blonde pieces. Every time you see those terracotta beige colored foils, those are my brown pieces. And anytime you see the latte ones, that's my red pieces. So what happened with our formulation was we did a Joico color in the red and we did a Schwarzkopf color with the dark brown, and it's supposed to be a very red based, like cherry brown. It just wasn't dark enough for our brown, and it kind of looked like the same color as our Joico color. So overall, her hair in the ends isn't a big enough contrast between the red and the brown. They look like almost the same color. So she is going to be coming back on Tuesday evening for me to redo the lowlights. And speaking of lowlights, I'm starting with a lowlight on this side of her face, the left side, where I would normally have the blonde piece. So what we're doing is we're almost doing like an opposites thing, like a split hair dye down the center. And we're gonna also follow this in the top, and I'll have to explain the top as well. But the right side of her head starts with a blonde piece and then a brown piece. The left side of her head starts with a brown piece and then a blonde piece. With the typical sectioning sizes that I'm doing, as you guys can see how I'm foiling this whole thing. I probably don't have to explain it. You can just use that visually and understand how I am sectioning off this entire head. And I am trying to be very symmetrical with either side right here. And that's because I do want to connect the top mohawk section in almost like a rainbow shape from one side to the other, so that we have from one ear all the way over the top of the head to the other ear is the same color. Now this is where it gets really advanced and really difficult. And it was a challenge to do this placement, but it is the coolest placement ever. I'm so happy with it. I'm gonna be using this for future Calico placements as well, just different formulations. So if I had formulated differently, I should have added in a 4-0 and a 5-0 into my brown formula. But my brown formula is just a 4-6 and a 5-5-7, and that just didn't have enough darkness in it to fully deepen the color down the way we wanted to. That's okay. I'll be reapplying on Tuesday night, as well as some of these blonde bits, because of their previous coloring and restaining with the copper. Some of those ends need to be brightened up a little bit, not a ton, but we're perfectionists here and we want to see like the goal come to life, and it's so close at the end and it looks so good anyways, but you know, I really want to see a little bit more come out of this. What I'm doing here on the side of this kind of triangular piece is I'm doing a really, really thick section of the red color, because again, we want to have a slight imbalance on favor of having more red in the hair. And so on either side of the head, you can see those latte foils and the big chunk down below it. Those are all red. Then I've separated this triangle into 3 sections. There's going to be a blonde on either side and then the brown in the very center. And I can't really tell you why I did it. I just felt like blonde would be better on the sides and black in the center, brown in the center, sorry, rather than doing it the opposite way. And this is just how I foiled these pieces. And you get to see how I go really, really close to the scalp here, also with my bleach, but I'm not doing an on the scalp bleaching, as you might notice with my other colors. When I'm applying them, I'm actually going right up onto the scalp with the other 2 colors, because they're not going to swell, they're not going to move around. bleach can still swell and move around. I don't want to make a mess, and it's okay to have it just feathered right up towards the top and be quite close, versus as you can see with this darker brown color, I'm feathering it literally onto the scalp, and I'm being very careful to not really overlap it too much into other areas. But that's what I would say is something to keep in mind when you are doing a calico color. Maybe don't bring the bleach all the way up onto the scalp, just feather it up as close as you can while knowing that you can still fit everything into the foil and have room for expansion if that happens, because that's where you get really, really messy scalp and roots. This is what her hair looks like before we do the top, and guess whose camera died? Mine. It's fine. I will explain how the mohawk went from the front towards the back. What I ended up doing was we did a split hair dye look for just the money piece. It was just a 1/2 inch thick section on either side at the very front. And on the left side, we did blonde, and on the right side we did dark, which is the opposite of what we did for what's next to her ears. This is what's going to give her a little bit of a checkerboard pattern in her money piece. So from ear over the forehead to the other ear, it goes dark, light, dark, light. And then if you look at the base of her neck from the back, then you would see dark coming right around to the left side, back to light. So that's what we did. After that, we did a 1/3 of an inch thick section of the red, which was smaller than everything else, but it just kind of gives it a little bit of separation. And then we did, what was our color pattern? Okay, after we did the money piece, which was checkerboard, and then a thinner red section, we did red, blonde, brown, red, blonde, brown. And we connected those sides with that rainbow shape over through the mohawk from one side to another as much as possible. So we have the most seamless look from ear over the top of the head to the other ear. That's what ended up being, I think the hardest thing to match up was just making sure everything kind of lined up as close as possible without making some sections too large and some too small, without putting anything on any weird angles. But overall, this is such a cool chunky foil look. I can't wait to show you the results. I don't think that it's really necessary to have any footage of the top anyways, because you're going to see what it looks like. Boom, boom. Look at that. Oh my God. That is so Christina Aguilera. This is so fun. This is what it looks like just blast dried real fast. We have yet to style it. It looks even better styled. But as you guys can see, a couple little areas here where some of those blonde ends didn't brighten up quite as much as we want them to because of previous staining from all of our copper color over the past few years. But I think this looks so cool. And as you guys can see, there just isn't quite enough of a difference between the light and the dark red. So we will be going over the dark red and deepening that down by adding in a 4-0 and a 5-0. And this is what it looks like when you just part it down a little bit extra. Those blonde chunks are so crisp. I love them. And overall, I'm super, super happy with this look. The front, we didn't really get any pictures of because I was super behind on time. My next client was waiting and I felt super bad, but I will get some selfies from her and post them on to my page so you guys can take a look there, or go to my Instagram. I'm Bleach Daddy on Instagram as well. I'll be sure to post them there. This is what it looks like curled, and oh my gosh, does it ever come to life when it's curled. You can almost see the dimension between the light and the dark red better when it's curled, but you can also see the coppery tone in the blonde. So overall, I mean, my star is obviously placement. I'm so happy with color placement and patterning. I think it was perfect. My wish is my formulation on what I would change, and I think that that's okay. Also, my second wish is that I wish I booked more time with her for her color placement, because this ended up taking me 2 hours and 40 minutes to apply, and then I had my other client come in and had to apply a full head of foils. Anyways, what do you guys think? Did you like this result? Did you like this color? Do you want to see the update when I fix this, whatever needs to be fixed on Tuesday? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Bye guys.